So, so it's interesting, people have different interpretation as to what business resilience means to them. And yeah, as we've said, we're in a very challenging environment. What I want to ask our next person, perhaps Chantal, you could take this, is what do you see as the major threats to your business that you have to navigate to make sure that indeed you are resilient?
Inflation, what we understand by inflation is a general increase of prices and then the fall in the purchasing power. So it affects a lot of people, the consumers and then the business owners, because the business owners, they are not calm. Do not allow them to get things at the same level as they keep changing, and it's either you feel like letting them do sometimes or they will decide to go unannounced. So it's affects the business, because if they don't give you the pre-notice, it's very difficult to replace that position immediately. And once there are some few decisions that are out, what happens to the business is like there is a gap. So how do we maintain or retain those valuable workers? Sometimes you just need to have a way of appreciating them, have some benefits packages for them, things that will make them happy and will want to stay in your business. But trust me, it's very difficult to keep the workers, and they are so troublesome. But yeah, that's for me particularly. I've had a lot of issues with it. Either they are good, I want to maintain them, but once they are with you, they are finding ways and means to who can pay better, where can I get? So as soon as they get something better, they are out. They don't, no matter what they sign with you, we don't follow that. They are just out and announced. So it's a big challenge. So then we also have poaching. Poaching is what? For business owners, we realize that there are some good workers for a particular position, and maybe a chef. Since I'm in the food industry, we need a chef, a good talented chef, and then we realize that this company has that chef, and we try and go and steal that person from the business, so you give me more benefits than he was having at the other side. So it's good for you as the business getting that person, but it's a loss for the person you are also taking from. So that person should also understand that these things happen, and then you also have to put some benefit packages the way that you will be able to retain these workers. And we also have to understand how to manage the cash flow. We need to understand what we have in the bank, how much is supposed to be used, how much we need to keep, how much we have to put in our operations. It's not all money that is in the bank that we are supposed to use. Some are supposed to be kept, some are supposed to be put in savings. So we need to differentiate all that so that we don't run at a loss.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So she talked about threats, and you think that the threats are always coming from outside, but actually they're within your own business. So your own people, the fact that they could easily, they're not perhaps even performing, or potentially they're being pushed by somebody else, or even how you manage your own finances could be a threat to your own business. So it's not necessarily coming from external. And as she was talking, as Chantal was talking about poaching staff, I could see how Audrey was looking at her, because Audrey is in the restaurant business as well. And yeah, they're competitors. So, these are the threats. Your own competitor is also a threat. Maybe we'll just use the opportunity for Audrey to just introduce herself before we continue, and just tell us your understanding of what business resilience means.
My name is Audrey, and I run Buka Restaurants. So this year, We've been in operations for 20 years. And I have staff that have been with me 20 years, 18, 15. I've got quite a lot of staff. And I've got probably right now about 65 of them. Now, what I have found is that when it's time for them to go, you let them go. You can motivate them as much as you want. They always have this idea that the grass is greener on the other side, and that's how they go about it. Being resilient is being innovative in this economy. New trends are coming, and you've got to learn to evolve with the trends that are coming, and that's, for me, where resilience is for me. Each time, I'm always, I would say, trawling the pages, social media pages, and trying to see what there is, what new trends there are, and that's what I do. And when I travel, I'm in the hospitality industry. I keep my eye open for what's new, and that's the only way that you can keep going. You cannot remain stagnant. You cannot be at the same place. You must always want to evolve to be a better entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Okay, when I say kitchen, I don't mean Sean seafood. I mean, this is what the industry does.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay.
Okay, glad you got that out. So, yeah, maybe Janet, you could just also add on to what you see as your biggest threats in your industry. I know you're a designer. And how do you respond to them? How do you manage that? What do you do about it?
Okay, even though I'm in the design, the fashion design, I design handbags. So I'm the creative director of my company as well as a CEO. So each and every handbag and accessory that you find in my shop has been designed in my head by me, then on paper, and then given to my workers to use. So I really own my designs. You know, the designs are mine. Even though out there in the world, people love to just copy and replicate. But I recognize my designs when I see them on social media. I even recognize my photo shoots. I recognize, you know, and it's kind of very annoying when you pay so much money for professional photo shoots and then people are using your copyright, you know, your own pictures and everything to promote their business. But, you know, I look beyond that, and how do I remain resilient and how do I remain relevant in the fashion industry? It's because I am the creative person. I have a lot in me, and I have so many designs. I'm always creating, and I don't release them all. I have so many designs that are sitting in my workshop and sitting in my design studio for next year. So I'm ahead of the game all the time. I want to be relevant. I want to appeal to my customers. I want to have something exciting to show them all the time. So I think in the creatives in particular, you really need to own your business, your brand. You know, you need to be responsible and fresh all the time. So there's always something. People always ask me, how do you keep coming up with new designs? That's just me. I am the designer of the brand. I am the brand. So I would say by having new things and fresh things to offer your clients, whatever business you are, remain relevant, remain on top of things, remain ahead, so that even if people are copying you, they're trying to replicate, you're doing something new. And so I would say that is one thing that I'm always ahead of my game. I also spend, before I launched officially, I did my logo, I did my branding, I had an idea of what I wanted my brand to look like and to feel, and who my demographic was, the kind of people who would carry my bags. And therefore, the branding, even though people may replicate or copy my designs, they don't have my branding. And people who buy those designs that look like mine, I can assure you, people get just as excited about coming to my shop and buying the product. It's just the whole experience. So it's quite an aspirational brand, and I've worked on that for years. So people will save to buy my product. I don't reduce my prices because I want masses to buy it. It's not for everybody. You know, I've invested so much of myself and my co-workers, and my brand is a whole picture. So I've built this brand so that people have this amazing feeling when they come into my shop and they want to buy an Adubea item. You So it's not just the actual product, it's a whole experience. It's about giving it to others. So that's one area. It's by actually, you can create and protect what you do by having some kind of character or brand to it. Like the Buka brand, I see it very much as a brand at the Buka restaurant because I know it. If you say African food or something, I'll say immediately, go to Buka. That's what I would say. So she's developed, and in our minds, we are aware of it. So I make people aware of my brand by social media. I'm very much on social media. And so I've built the brand, and the people get to know about me over time. Another thing, so I'll say the copyright and replica is definitely a threat to my business. However, I don't let it hold me back at all. I don't pay much attention. In fact, I don't have time to even check too much, But for those of you who are new, you really also need to keep on top of it. And if it's on social media where people are replicating your work and so on, what you can do is to challenge them on social media, which I do. I do challenge people who, if I notice it, I don't just leave it because you are just encouraging more and more people to. So you need to actually call them out on social media very politely and ask them to remove your pictures, or ask them not to remove whatever belongs to you, and you put it in their public space in the text there, so that all their followers can see that you are actually saying to them, don't do this, it doesn't belong to you. And they usually remove it. In fact, I've never known anyone who's held their ground and kept my pictures on. Once I noticed my photo shoots and it's my pictures, you will not use my pictures for your business. Okay, so that is copyright infringement. So I would encourage you to do that because you work and you spend money on it, and they need to understand that. I work a lot with. I outsource the actual products, the production. I outsource that to bead weavers and to artisans all over the country. So I protect my business by actually spreading a number of sort of small cells that make work for me. And I realized that I needed to do that to have stability in my business, because if you don't do that and you concentrate on one supplier to do all your work for you, and they are not well, or they don't like you anymore, they're jealous of you or whatever, suddenly they feel like it actually happened to me, where I initially had one key person that I worked with, but as I grew over the years, I realized that I didn't feel safe and I didn't feel stable. So I began to work with others to the extent whereby now I give about 20% of my work to the key person I used to work with, and the 80% is spread over about 5 other cells. So it's important to stabilize your business. If you put it in the hands, someone like my business, we outsource, so you need to stabilize. Another way I stabilize and avoid the problem of them copying my designs when they are working for me is I keep them very busy. Number one, I have an agreement with each person, a simple agreement. However illiterate they are, we will sign an agreement, a piece of paper that says you deliver on time, the quality, the this, and what happens if you don't deliver the quality I want. I don't pay you for it. I pay immediately they come, and so on. So there are certain things I put in place, and we can all put in place by a simple written agreement. But another way that I protect my designs is I only give, for example, I give this cell just 2 designs to do. I have more than 60, 70 designs. I'll give you just, if I know you do Jenny very well, you will just do Jenny for me. That's how so you don't know how to do all my other designs. So it's about spreading it out and not giving them all your intellectual property just like that for them to use it. Another thing is all the branding and the logos that I have for my handbags, I don't give it to them. They will do either just the mats, or they'll do the bag, but without the chains, without the metal wear, without the things that complete my brand, like all my internal dust bags, the branding on the outer dust bags, my name tags and all that. We keep that at in our workshop. So when it comes, we finish off the bags there. So these are some ways. So that's one thing. Another thing I would say quickly is low productivity, because I know staff is a big problem for all of us. So when we have staff or your labor force or workers, we tend to have this problem of them not being so productive, and it's a cost to your company because you need so many more people to do one job, which you'll find in Europe is not the case. You can have one person plus yourself and have a little boutique and it functions very well, but not in Ghana. You need more staff to do the same level of work. One of the ways that I have, I would say my staff are quite productive overall. I don't know of anyone who is working for me or with me knowingly who is lazy. I don't know it. Then I haven't picked up on it. Because what I do is from the interview process, I actually interview myself. Because I am looking at, I don't give it to my operations manager or someone, I interview them myself initially because I'm looking for their character. I'm looking at their values. I'm looking at what is important for them. I'm also looking at how stable they are as a person. Because some people are so unstable that when they start working with you, they just disrupt you. They can never come to work on time. It's not their fault. Maybe for some reason. And that's not what I need. My brand is too young and tight for me to have people who can't come to work on time. So the beginning, right at the beginning, it's your selection process of your staff. And then you pay them well for what your brand and value them as a person. And I also delegate a lot to them, and I believe in them. I come from a sales-oriented background. I was in Mary Kay Cosmetics for 17 years as a sales director and a leader. So I developed a lot of leadership skills and understanding about how to communicate and work effectively and bring the best out in people. So you expect a lot from them, they deliver, but you also need to value them by paying them well. And then on top of that, some of them you pay them well, they'll still be lazy. So what you do is, I've noticed, because I'm in the sales environment, I have retail shops, I have a sales bonus as well. So on top of your salary, they get excited and they own the sales target for the month. So they know their sales target for the month and they work towards it from the first of every month. And the target is different. It's not the same every month because I have studied over the years that July, August is my quiet period, so their targets are lower. So they feel incentivized to go for the target because they know it's not as high as when it's in December. So the sales target works wonders for me in my shop because they come to work on time, they do they do their work, and they are working towards earning their sales bonus at the end of the month. So they are productive.
So Janet, that's fantastic, and you can tell she's a strong character. She's got her eyes are all over the place, and what I like is actually my next question was going to be more along the lines of entrepreneurs. You have to be quick, you have to be agile, and when we often talk traditionally about business resilience, you're talking about big companies where they have a lawyer. So when you're talking about copyright, it's like you get a lawyer to go and do that, and intellectual property is all protected. But she has a very practical way of dealing with things. And I feel that by her answer, she's telling you that as an entrepreneur, you have to be agile and have practical solutions as to how you manage it. It will not necessarily be the same way that a multinational would practice this. But maybe, Felicity, you could tell us a bit about how you have approached business resilience and how you maintain that agility as well. How do you maintain innovation, agility, but still protect your business?
So I'm going to add up to what she said because I was really connecting with you because we are on the same kind of path. We have the same problems and challenges. When it comes to copyright, you see a product, you design a product, you set it in the studio, make something, and then you see it all over social media. Before, I used to get upset. Later, I was like, I must be doing something right. But I see all these big brands, all these big clothing brands, and they are tuning in to what we are doing, and they have ages over us. I'm like, okay, we must be really doing something right. So what I do usually is, I don't get upset anymore because it's just a waste of time. You try to always stay on top of the game. If I have this product and I'm seeing it all over social media. I'm already thinking about the next hit product. What am I going to do next? What is going to be the next? And you would be amazed. I have this skirt, Mia skirt. It's all over social media. It's a tool skirt. It's just a tool skirt, you know. But it's still selling. Customers still come to us, and you know they are still buying it. We've been selling it for over a year. It's all over social media. Sometimes I'm amazed how people even still come and they are still buying it. What I did was, when one of the colors was sold out and was all over social media, I was like, let me find a new print. Let me find a new color. Find a new face to market this product. It's the same product. Nothing has changed. It's the same print, just in a different color on somebody different. And you know, that person is coming with their own following, their own social media audience. So it always keeps you at the top of your game. And you're already working on a different product. So when this one is being copied and it's all over and people have already bought it, you know, you have another product already developed. So it keeps you on edge. You're always, I don't sleep. I'm always on Pinterest looking for something new. How can I do this? I'm on Instagram always looking for influencers, stylists. This same top, maybe if I give to this person, I think this person is going to style it in a different way. It's going to give people different perspective. It's the same product, but how am I going to sell it in a different way? Do you understand? If you just limit yourself to one person or one way of marketing, it limits your cash inflow because it's still the same product. So you just have to find different ways, different people, different faces, different colors, different textures, you know. So there's always so much more to explore, and then it helps me keep afloat.
Okay, thank you, Felicity. So maybe let me pose this differently, the next question differently. Maybe Audrey, you could give us an example as to how you've dealt with challenges.
So, as you had mentioned, for me, COVID was the biggest challenge of my career. I think that it came actually as a total shock, obviously, to everybody, but for me in particular, because at the end of 2019, we had a year of return. And for us, that was the biggest thing ever for us. Our business probably tripled, quadrupled in that short period. And then you're thinking you're riding on a high, and next minute you're back to zero. Total zero. My saving grace was the fact that we were still allowed to operate. So we're operating a takeaway service. And we just thought to ourselves, yes, of course, that's when agility comes into play. How do we remain relevant? People were still eating, as you know, and that was a fundamental thing. People are still eating. How do we make ourselves a force to reckon with? So we just totally switched operations for the first maybe 3 months from dine-in experiences to takeaways. And that boomed. So when people talk about, I mean, in all humility, 2019 being a tough year, we picked ourselves up and haven't looked back to today. Takeaway is about 60% of our business. So we now have a fully fledged call center that receives calls and everything. But what I wanted to also say is, hearing both Janet and all of us sitting here, your business, it has to be something that is in you. You can't just get up and say, because Boka, it looks like she's selling jollof rice and she's successful with it, I can also put pot on the fire and sell jollof rice and I'll get the same success. You have to want it so badly. You have to be passionate about it. It has to form every fiber of your being, because there will be bad times. If you don't love what you do, you'll crack when the bad times come. But if you love it, you realize that, yes, okay, so I'm having a bad day. But then that love and that passion sees you through to want to survive it, So it's all, I mean, I don't look at, when I look at competition, I'm not looking at competition in a way that, oh God, I'm scared. I did initially, I won't lie to you at all. When the business first started, I think I must have been 5 or 6 years into operations, and then came a big Nigerian brand. I mean, I have a picture in my office that reminds me of how I began. And it's pasted there for everybody to see. And this guy comes in, he had his kitchen brought in from South Africa. He was having, furniture done, and mine was just done by the roadside, literally. And so I panicked, and I was like, wow, this guy just come to swallow me up, and he was a Nigerian. And people don't realize that Boka is a Ghanaian restaurant, well, Ghanaian owned. Everybody, because of the name, thought it was Nigerian owned. And we had a lot of Nigerian patronage. So my God, I panicked immediately. I'm like, I'm dead, I'm finished. And to boot, he came and took away my manager. He poached my manager. He poached one of my best cooks. And I was just totally lost. And then somebody said to me, says, when you go to the market, you see so many stores of tomatoes. Everybody gets their customer at the end of the day. So focus on being the best that you can be. And since then, actually, intentionally, if I have to drive by any of my competitors at lunchtime, I don't look at their car park. Seriously. Because what happens is that if you keep focusing on other people's successes or what you deem their successes, you lose your way. So focus on who you are and being the best that you are. Listening to Janet, I'm late because I was actually interviewing. I interview every single person that comes onto my premises, unless I'm not in the country. I will interview you. And they lie a lot on their CVs. They tell you about fantastic. I had a girl who wants to be a cook now. Amongst her hobbies, she has reading and traveling. And I said, my dear, there's a disconnect over here. And if you don't go and you literally have to go through their CVs with literally a small comma, just to make sure that they're not lying. If you're going to go based on somebody's writings, you need to speak to them. And then you get a whole feeling about how your souls connect. Because somebody could be there, may not have the requisite educational qualifications that you're looking for, but they look passionate. They look like they're hardworking. You've got to pick on those things and have a relationship with them. It's very, very important. I mean, paying them well, of course, has been one of the things, because even through COVID, I had my staff on my payroll. After a while, I couldn't cope anymore. I furloughed some of them, but immediately we're back to operations 4 months later. Everybody came on board. So for me, it was the agility. It was being able to innovate, which I keep saying all the time. You've got to think of what are the trends, what will work for the situation at hand. For me, it was my takeaway service. And because I stuck to my guns and held it on, today it's been a success story.
Great, thank you. So I know with entrepreneurship, there's a lot of, something you might see as failure, but I see it as lessons learned. And I think one has to go through some of these things to learn and grow. And I just wondered, do any of you have any stories to tell whereby you've been through, a really negative situation and you've learned from it? Maybe Chantal, you could tell us.
I would say during the festive period, which is the Christmas period, I had some programs lining up, and I posted it on social media. We had plans, we sat down together, and the weekends, how we're going to go about it. And I think a day to the program, when it will start, the chef didn't turn up. The head chef didn't turn up. The bartender didn't turn up. When you start calling them, they don't pick up. We call them, they didn't pick up. They didn't call us to tell us why they are not picking. So I thought about it, and I love taking the chef that have learned the French cuisine, because that's my country, that's where I from. So to get them is not easy, and I can't get them within a day. I have to go to interview, for them go to interview and all that. So what did I do? I just redo whatever I posted from my social media. I didn't post anything, do everything that I posted. The next day they didn't come. I don't know if it was a plan. And then all throughout the week, when the program was over, we didn't the program because I had to consult with them. Then they came, and I was like, well, we had an agreement. We knew what we were going to do. So what happened? It was different stories. But it was a moment that I needed them more. So I can't say I'm ending the contract with them. So I took them on painfully, and then we continued. And I had other orders for the Christmas day. And again, they disappeared. I don't know if it was a planned deal, they disappeared, but I think because these orders were made way before the time, so I can't cancel it. There's no way I'll tell the people that I can't deliver. Yeah. So I had to go to the kitchen myself with the help of the assistants. We did everything. We didn't take out any order, and we delivered beautifully. And the comments we got were so great, like the food was good and everything. So the lesson I learned from this is, imagine I don't know how to cook, I just picked up the business and I don't know how to go about it. How will I deliver? It will be very tough. What will I do? And then there's no way at that time you can get a chef. And they are all over. During the festive period, they are looking for places to go where they can get more. They go here, they go here. They can disappoint you at any time. So if you don't know what you are doing, if you are in a business, advice you should not just put up a business, that knowing about it, but you have to learn what you are doing. You have to learn from the workers. If you have knowledge about it, learn from them. If you have the zeal of doing it, you have to be involved in every aspect of the business so that in case of disappointment, you are still there to run the business.
Thank you. It's a really interesting story. Actually, you got all of us shaking. We're like, what's going on here? Chantal, do you have anything to add to that? Okay.
I want to add to that. So, based on what she just said, I had a tailor once. This guy was supposed to finish a deadline, an Ivorian. And he was very slow, so he delayed on the deadline. I have a space at work where we stay. We all stay to just ensure high productivity. So you have a space at the studio that you sleep. You are supposed to spend the night, go home during the weekends, you come back on Monday. This guy decided to sleep. So I woke up at 9, and I'm wired that way. At 12 midnight, it's not like I'm out praying, but I'm out because I've been doing work, night work for a very long time. So it's in my DNA. 12 a.m. I'm up. Usually I'm up making somebody stressed because I have to meet my deadline. So I woke up, I went to the machine room, and I realized the outfit wasn't finished. This is an outfit I have to drive to the person's house at 6 a.m. So I had my cup of coffee, sat down, finished the outfit, drove it to East Legon, fitted hair, everything was perfect. So when I got back to the studio, he was there. He was like, "Madam, I didn't see the top here when I came. I'm like, I finished it, and I already delivered it. And you know what? I don't need you here. You have to go, because this cannot go unpunished." And imagine if I didn't know how to sew. You know, whatever you are doing, I can sit by the machine and make 3 times in a day. Do you understand? So you can't come and sit here and behave like you are making a dress. And that's one thing. If you are into sewing, put them on work and pay. If you think you are going to do salary, because if you put them on work and pay, they are going to just rush you. Put them on work and pay. Limit them to the amount of products that they do in a week. If you are going to do 1 outfit per day, make sure there's a supervisor managing, checking quality control. Because if you leave, these French guys, they want money. So if you leave them to do work and pay, he's going to do like 3 or 4 outfits in a day, and then he expects to be paid. There's this girl, another story, short one, I'll make it. So she was on salary. I was monitoring her. I intentionally put her on salary because I wanted to monitor her. She will come to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., sit there, do one talk. She did that continuously for like 6 months. Everybody was like, put her on work and pay. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. So this year I introduced her to work and pay. Before that week, I asked her what items she did the previous week when she was still on salary base. She told me, I was like, okay, I'm starting you on work and pay. Since this is the number of products that you can do in a week, that's the same number that you are going to be doing now that you are on work and pay. Do you understand? You can't come and take advantage of me. Do you understand? So this is the number. You can make one talk in a day. Do the one talk. When you finish, go and see. You understand? So it keeps them on their toes, and then it makes them know that whatever they are there doing, you can also do it yourself. So there's no way of making you feel like they are doing you a favor when you are at the end of the month or at the end of the week paying them. Right.
Wow. Okay, so it's interesting. I class that as crisis management, you know, quickly reacting, being very calm, and also having your plan. The fact that she could sew herself, you know, she took over. She was very calm about it. But also there were lessons learned. She mentioned work and pay. You don't just put somebody on a salary and expect they will disappoint you. But the work and pay is a means of controlling that. So I thought that was really good. If we're in a multinational, you call it crisis management. And you're doing your crisis management as an entrepreneur in a very practical way. So I think we've gone through quite a few questions. A lot of them were challenges. Some are day to day. But what I'd like to do is perhaps give the opportunity to you to ask the panel any questions that you have before we close out. So, open to any questions. Does anyone have? Okay, there's somebody at the back there.
If you have a staff member blatantly stealing from you, I mean, I'm sure you've had experiences. Can you give us how you manage that situation?
Some few weeks ago, or let's say a couple of months ago, the shed I was working with, I was in the morning. They spoke about putting our trust in some of our kids. They already sent to make better. I put my trust in this guy. The way he came, he spoke to me so nicely, and he brought some of his own stuff that he bought. He knew he wanted to do a business himself. And then he said, since I got it, then I'm not going to do the business. I just want to add it up to what you have. And I said, just like that, you say, yes, I want to be here with you, manage this business with you, and I'm here to stay forever. Trust me, I'm not going anywhere. I like this place, like this, and that. I was happy. I thought it was true. I thought it was real. I was so happy. So I was so cool with him. The person recommended me recommended him to me. I thanked the person so much. I said it's God sent and all that. And I realized that the color of oil, you buy it, few weeks, and then it wasn't like that. It just finished. Everything went go. The fishes, everything, things that are disappearing. I looked through the camera one day and then I realized that he was speaking some few things I didn't know. And then one day too, I caught him. He was pouring the oil in the house. What are you going to do with it? Oh, he was just rearranging it. Rearranging it how? So I said, no, it cannot work. I trusted you so much. You've really, really disappointed me. You can't work with me anymore. And you see how we go about it. And then he came back apologizing that he doesn't know, he didn't do it intentionally. I still think about doing it intentionally or not, but this is what we are doing, and it's causing the business. So I don't know how I can just forgive you like that. But he's a sweet talker. So he really convinced me. The truth is, I like him. So I wish I could work with him because on a food he's good. He's a good cook, you know. So I thought about it, and some people asked me to. I mean, if I can just give another chance again. Not knowing this guy had his own plans. He just wanted his salary and then ran away. I had my motto with him that I gave him to be using. So all that was a plan to just take money, his money, his last money, and then run away. So I called him back. I told him that okay, I want to, give him another chance and I'll work with him. And then he thanked me, you are God sent, and then all that. So I gave him his money and he disappeared. He disappeared. So he took my motor away. And we tried contacting him and all that. He was nowhere to be found. And just recently, I don't know what happened. I think it's just God. And he himself brought them to just like that. And then he left. He didn't want to talk to anyone. And then he just left. So my advice in this is no matter how sweet they can be, you should not be deceived. You just have to analyze things very well, study them very well. And also during the interview, anybody here says, which I also do, I don't want to leave the interview part to anyone. I want to interview you. So it's very important to interview them yourself. During the interview, you can still learn a whole lot of things about them. They lie on the CV, but if you interact with them, you pick up something. So don't put all your trust, that's what I have to say. Don't put all your trust in them. Have your eyes open, because they can disappoint.
Thank you for that. I think one thing I would say is, look, in God we trust. In people and operations we put controls.
Exactly.
You know, so you have to have controls. You need to check your documents. If you've got inputs into your production process, know how much oil goes into producing so much. So you must have controls. You know, the devil comes in sheep's clothing. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so what I'm going to do, unless there's more questions, I'm just going to ask each of our panelists to give their final closing remarks on this topic of business resilience. So you have a minute each. So there you go.
Strongly feel that in today's social media world, immediately you go online, it's very, very easy to just decide, oh, this person is doing this, let me follow through. But I would suggest that before you start a business, you should think within yourself, what do you want to bring out? Who are your target markets? Who do you want to attract to yourself? How do you want your brand to be perceived, as we learned earlier on? After all those things, let's please stick to the plan, and then in the end, we'll be successful. Probably sometimes there will be down times, but it shouldn't let us decide to follow the crowd. If not, we'll lose ourselves and we'll lose the business too. Thank you.
I think that it's important for you to be agile. You have to be amenable to the changing times or to the challenges that present themselves. I mean, every situation is not the same, but then just being able to know how to bend. And I like what Emefa just said in terms of the fact that we remain focused on the core business. We remain focused on the core business. What happens is that I find that people are very quick to move from what they actually set out to do when tough times hit. If you still remain around the same core, the same thing that you originally wanted to work out, it works best in your interests because you are well versed in that field and you're able to, bend when things bend and move when they have to move. I was just adding also quickly to the thing about the theft that she spoke about. Controls, because for me, if I give you a cup of rice, I know how many portions I want out of that cup of rice. Accountability, because a grain of rice is my profit. So if you go out of that, that means there's a problem. But years ago, when I was faced with this, because in the food industry, people think food is nothing. They want to eat food. Years ago, somebody advised me, you will, because of it's a cultural thing. People say we eat where we work. So literally, what I would say to you is that you need to build a certain percentage of that pilfering into your price, because you can't control it all. And make sure you have the principles, the proper SOPs in place that make what you do accountable, make the people who work for you accountable. That's the way you can. You can't sack everybody who steals, because sometimes your worst stealer, if there's a word like steal, is your best worker, and you need him. So you have to make sure that you are watching, you're looking. Otherwise, you'll have a high turnover of staff. A high turnover of staff as well is not very good for your business, no matter what you do. So for me, remain agile, and all the best.
For me, over the years, I realized that the human factor, your labor, your staff, you can't run your business without them. You need them. Whether they are good, they are bad, whether they are stealing, whether they are not productive. You can't be so agile that you are continually dismissing them because they've done something wrong, they've stolen or whatever. So again, like what Audrey said, you need to actually put measures in place to make your business very stable. And what I realized was Dr. Susie mentioned, she expected to see my shop open. And yes, if you go to my airport shop, I have a shop at the Departures Lounge in Kotoka International Airport. And ever since I opened that shop in 2018, I have never, ever had a day when that shop doesn't open at 6 in the morning and closes at 10:30 at night. 365 days a year. How do I manage that? Because I know staff will disappoint me, so I have to double up. So I make sure there are 2 people on duty at any given time. If one calls in sick, and what we do is you make sure that they are well equipped, they are trained, they are encouraged, they are motivated. So there is nothing like a manager in my shop. Everybody comes to work, you sign on, you are responsible. And when they are logging out, I have put processes in place to ensure that the money so when you come, you sign in the morning. What I do is, I know this is a closing remark, but we didn't touch on it. I think it's very, very important. You need to actually develop processes that work for you and your business. And what I realized that I can't be there. So I need to make sure that I know what's going on there. So I have thought through over the last 8 years how to improve. So out of every misfortune, every time I got rid of a batch of staff, especially at KIA, I was panicking. Because at KIA, if I get rid of my staff, my entire sales staff, it takes me about a month to 5 weeks to get new ones in there. I can't afford to shut my shop down for 5 weeks. So in spite of the fact that I knew they were stealing, I had to be very mature in my approach. Bite my tongue. Don't let them know that I am aware, but don't let them know that I'm getting rid of them, but find new people and then replace them. So you need to be very mature and manage your emotions when it comes to the business, or when it comes to staff, and so many things. You need to actually take a step back and realize that you can't just get rid of people all the time. You need to have a process of getting rid of them so that your business is stable. The same with my main supplier. When I realized what was going on, it took me about 2 years to get so many other people. And in the meantime, what was I doing? I was swallowing my saliva. Why? My brand was 4 years plus into my business. My customers' expectation was to find bags in that shop. And my business would have gone down if I was so proud. So I just kept quiet and kept putting it out there and developing new suppliers. And now my business is very, 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 very stable. There's nothing you can do that will shake me. COVID came, we closed for 5 months at KIA. The airport was closed. Nobody was traveling. the airport shop was closed for 5 months because the government shut us down. I paid my staff for 5 months to be opened in September. But I have never, and I paid the Laboni staff for the 1 month we were closed. We opened immediately when they reopened. But the point I'm making is sometimes pricing is very important. The cost of running your company, you need to analyze it very clearly and price your things well. Otherwise, you price your business out of the market because you are pricing too low and you are making it too low, too high, and you are not able to sort of sustain the business. There's a little bit here and there. You don't have any equity, you don't have any money to actually sustain it. So you need to look very careful at your pricing, and also earlier we spoke about the pricing and the inflation, how it affects, it really affects our businesses at every point of the value chain, because we source our materials here in Ghana. A lot of the raw materials are imported, so the inflation affects the pricing. And so what I did to keep the business stable is to look for other markets, not just the Ghanaian market, and use social media, use online, and attract people from outside the country to purchase your thing and keep your business, try to keep it stable. So I would say these are a few things I would like you to say to you in closing.
Thank you, Janet.
I think as an entrepreneur, you should be involved in whatever is going on, either in your store, in your business, whatever you're doing, you have to be involved in it. What I do every day at the close of the day, I go through my messages on Instagram, look at how my social media personnel is responding to messages. Now, what I've noticed is they all text like me. They text on their phone. My shop manager responds to messages like me, like how I phrase my sentences, and I think it's an amazing thing. If I don't mention my name, that, oh, this is Sewa, now they go like, oh, please can I speak to Nana? So I believe that building the right team, be vigilant, you have to be involved. Don't think the business is doing well. People are responding to messages online, so you don't have to check anything. You always have to second check. Check everything. Check the products, quality control. Before anything goes out of the studio, when it's being folded in the bag, I'm always looking at it. I have to look at it before it goes out because it's my name on the brand. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there is a bit of organization, and the point that I wanted to make is going to say it tomorrow. You have to be involved in the business, don't let everything in the hands of your workers. You have to be involved in everything, check everything. If you give them that, they know that you are part of it and they will not mess up with you. If they realize that you are out of the business, you are not part of what they are doing, they take advantage and they do everything, and at the end, you are the one who is people look at you. So don't leave everything in their hands, but be involved in it.
Thank you very much. Okay, look, I can see Janet wants
One small
30 seconds.
to help everybody here. The one tool that you can use to your advantage as a small business owner when you want to control your business and ensure that you are aware of what is going on is the mobile phone. I give every location of my business, so all my shops, my warehouse, my office, at every point where I have somebody who is working for me, I provide them with a company mobile phone. It sits at the shop, it never leaves the shop. Even if they're going to the next shop, they leave that company phone in the shop. But the point is, all communication between me and the people who work for me is on the company phone. It's not on their personal phone. And even if they verbally say something to me, I say, send me a WhatsApp. Send me a WhatsApp. When they come to work in the morning, use the shop phone to say, good morning, madam, I'm in. When you are, no, otherwise I don't know when you came to work. When they are closing in the evening, day sales summary. You cannot leave that shop with, in fact, they come back, sometimes they get down to the airport roundabout, but they realize they forgot to press send, because I would say, I didn't get the sales summary. They will go back into the airport, open the shop, and send me that sales summary before they go. I'm very strict. I want to know what you sold, whether you sold. I want to know the opening petty cash, the closing petty cash, what you sold in that shop, whether it was POS by, I'm telling you, if you want to control your money, you do not want it mobile money. How did they take that payment? It should be documented somewhere that there's a point of reference. There's always a point of reference.
I just wanted to make you laugh a little, Lindsay, and I know you're all tired, but a quick one. What she did say about money is very, very important. In the 20 years, nobody handles my money. Nobody. Every single day, I will balance. From what I get, from reports I get off my computer, because I use a POS, I will do it between myself. I have a cousin that works with me and my Indian manager, the three of us. When it comes to cash, I'm sole signatory. I'm sorry. This is the economy we're in. I'm sole signatory. So whatever comes in, I don't necessarily know, but it's all banked. And one secret that I want to tell people is that your money from your business is not your personal money. You need to bank your monies in its entirety. Draw a check for petty cash and then use the petty cash to do your petty expenses. And then obviously use the checks to pay whatever it is. Pay yourself a salary always. Don't treat your business money as your own personal money. But the joke about the phones, so like you, every department has a mobile telephone because my staff are not allowed to bring their phones onto the premises. When you get to the gate, you drop your phones. Because what happens is they're watching, using your Wi-Fi to watch stuff on they're taking people's orders, etc., and treating it as a so I've given everybody. So on Monday, one of my very good members of staff turned 40, and so I sent her money. So everybody, when it's your birthday, you come, you get, depending on how long you've been there, you're giving a little gift. For her, she got her gift of money, but she said she wanted something personally from me, so I sent her money today. And I sent it to her bank account. She gets an alert, and the alert is on her personal phone. And she dares to use her personal phone to say thank you. So I said, oh, God bless you, but make sure that phone is gone before I get to the office. So that's it. I mean, they will always find a way to flout whatever laws and rules you put in place. You just have to remain vigilant. Thank you.
From all walks of life, I've seen people from the food business, agribusiness, we've got a courier there, property agents, somebody into corporate governance. I know there's a whole range. If you want your business to last 20 years or more, it is really important that you practice business resilience. So understanding the correct controls, understanding your environment, planning for a crisis. I don't want you to waste too much time just sitting there and saying, oh, you know, what happened? As Audrey said, don't focus on your competitors too much. Keep it towards your goal. But you need to be ready. You need to anticipate. I heard some of them saying they spread their suppliers, they spread their customers. All this is risk management. You know, it may be a technical term, but it applies to all of you. So thank you very much. Thanks to our panelists. And we wish you, you know, another 20 years of good business. Thank you.